Friendship with God. An uncommon dialogue. 9. I have learned throughout my conversations with you that my relationships are sacred. They are the most important aspects of life, because it is through relationships that I express and experience who I am, and who I choose to be. And not merely your relationships with other people, but your relationships with everything everywhere. Your relationship with life, and all the elements of life. Your relationship with money, love, sex, and God, the four cornerstones of the human experience. Your relationship with trees, plants, animals, birds, wind, air, sky, and sea, your relationship with nature, and your relationship with me. My relationship with everything determines who and what I am. Relationship, you have told me, is holy ground. Because in the absence of a relationship with something else, I cannot create, know, and experience anything I have decided about myself. Or, as you have put it, in the absence that which I am not, that which I am, is not. You have learned well, my friend. You are becoming a messenger. Yet as I try to explain this to others, they sometimes get lost. This concept doesn't always easily translate. Try using the parable of whiteness. Yes, that helped me immediately. Imagine that you are in a white room, with white walls, white floor, white ceiling, no corners. Imagine that you are suspended in this space by some invisible force. You are dangling there. In mid-air. You cannot touch anything, you cannot hear anything, and all you see is whiteness. How long do you think that you will exist in your own experience? Not very long. I'd exist there, but I wouldn't know anything about myself pretty soon. I'd go out of my mind. Actually, that's exactly what you would do. You would, literally, leave your mind. Your mind is the part of you that is assigned the task of making sense out of all incoming data, and without any data incoming, your mind has nothing to do. Now, the moment you go out of your mind, you cease to exist in your own experience. That is, you cease to know anything in particular about yourself. Are you big? Are you small? You cannot know, because there is nothing outside of yourself with which to compare yourself. Are you good? Are you evil? You cannot know. Are you even here? You cannot know, because there is nothing over there. You cannot know anything about yourself in your own experience. You can conceptualize it all you want, but you cannot experience it. Then something happens to change all this. There appears a tiny dot on the wall. It's as if someone has come along with a fountain pen and squirted a tiny dot of ink. Nobody knows how the dot actually got there. But it doesn't matter, because the dot has saved you. Now, there is something else. There is you, and there is the dot on the wall. Suddenly, you can make some decisions again, you can have some experiences again. The dot is over there. That means that you must be here. The dot is smaller than you. You are bigger than it. You are starting to define yourself again, in relationship to the dot on the wall. Your relationship with the dot becomes sacred, because it has given you back a sense of yourself. Now a kitten appears in the room. You don't know who is doing this, who is causing all this to happen, but you are grateful, because now some more decisions can be made. The kitten appears softer. But you appear smarter, at least, part of the time. It is faster. You are stronger. More things begin appearing in the room, and you begin to expand your definition of self. Then it dawns on you. Only in the presence of something else can you know yourself. This something else is that which you are not. Thus, in the absence of that which you are not, that which you are, is not. You have remembered an enormous truth, and you vow never to forget it again. You welcome every other person, place, and thing in your life with open arms. You reject none of it, because you see now that all that appears in your life is a blessing, presenting you with a greater opportunity to define who you are, and to know yourself as that. But wouldn't my mind figure out what was going on if I was placed alone in that white room? Wouldn't it say, "Hey, I'm in a white room, that's all. Relax and enjoy it"? It would at first, of course. But soon, in the absence of any more incoming data, it would not know what to think. Ultimately, the whiteness, the emptiness, the nothingness, the aloneness would get to it. Do you know one of the greatest punishments your own world has devised? Solitary confinement. Exactly. You cannot stand being alone for extended periods. In the most inhumane prisons, there is not even light in solitary. The door is closed, and you are in utter darkness. Nothing to read, nothing to do, nothing else at all. Since thinking is creating, you would stop creating your reality, because your mind must have data in order to create. You call your mind's creations conclusions, and when it could not come to any conclusions, you would leave it, you would go out of your mind. And yet, leaving your mind is not always bad. You do it in all your moments of great insight. Come again. You don't believe that insight comes from your mind. Do you? Well, I've always thought. That's been the problem, right there. You've always thought. Try not thinking once in a while. Try simply being. It is when you just be with a problem, rather than keep thinking about it, that the greatest insight comes. That's because thinking is a creative process, and being is a state of awareness. I don't quite understand. Help me understand. I thought not being able to think was the problem. The guy in the white room goes crazy. I didn't say he goes crazy. You said that. I said he leaves his mind. He stops creating his reality, because he has no data. Now, if he stopped creating his reality for an extended period, that would be one thing. But what if he did this for only a moment? For a brief period? Would such a time out help him or hurt him? That's an interesting question. Thought, word, and deed are the three levels of creation, yes. Yes. When you are thinking, you are creating. Every thought is a creation. Yes. So when you are thinking about a problem, you are seeking to create a solution. Exactly. What's wrong with that? You can either seek to create a solution, or you can simply become aware of the solution that has already been created. Once more. For those of us who are slow, could you give me that once more? None of you is slow. But some of you are using a very slow method of creation. You are trying to create by thinking. This can be done, as we have shown. But now I'm telling you something new. Thinking is the slowest method of creation. Remember, your mind must have data to create. Your being needs no data at all. That is because data is the illusion. It is what you are making up, rather than what is. Seek to create from what is, rather than from the illusion. Create from a state of being, rather than from a state of mind. I'm trying to stay with this, to understand it, but I think you're losing me. You're going too fast. You cannot find the answer, any answer, rapidly by thinking about it. You have to get out of your thoughts, leave your thoughts behind, and move into pure beingness. Have you not heard the truly great creators, the truly great problem solvers, say, when you give them a problem, let me be with it for a while? Of course. Well, this is what they are talking about. And you can do the same thing. You can be a great problem solver too. But not if you imagine you are going to unravel the riddle by thinking about it. No. To be a genius, you have to be out of your mind. A genius is not one who creates an answer, but who discovers that the answer has always been there. A genius does not create the solution, but finds the solution. This is not really a discovery, but a recovery. The genius hasn't discovered anything but has simply recovered what was lost. It was lost, but now it is found. The genius is someone who has remembered what all of you have forgotten. One thing that most of you have forgotten is that all things exist in the eternal moment of now. All solutions, all answers, all experiences, all understanding. In truth, there is nothing for you to have to create. All that is necessary is for you to become aware that everything you wish and everything you seek has already been created. This is something that most of you have forgotten. That is why I have sent others to remind you, saying, even before you ask, you have been answered. I would not tell you these things were they not so. Yet you cannot move to a state of awareness regarding all these things by thinking about them. You cannot think aware, you can only be aware. Awareness is a state of being. Therefore, if you are perplexed or puzzled about something in life, you must not mind. And when you have a problem, pay it no mind. And when you are surrounded by negativity, negative forces, and negative emotions, do not mind a thing. When you mind it, you obey it. Do you not see? You are controlled by it, because you are minding it. Do not be as children, who mind their parents. Get out of your mind. Remember, you are a human being, not a human minding. Move, therefore, into beingness. What does that mean? I don't know what the hell that means. What are you being right now? Agitated. I'm agitated because you're losing me with all this mumbo-jumbo. Ah, so you do know what you are being. No, that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling agitated. Then that is what you are being. What you are feeling is what you are being. Have I not told you that feeling is the language of the soul? Well, yes, but I didn't understand it quite in this way. Good. So now you are being more understanding. Yes, a little. Did you hear what I said? What? I said, now you are being more understanding. What are you trying to say to me here? I am saying to you that in every single moment of now you are being something. And what you are feeling tells you exactly what you are being. Your feelings never lie. They do not know how to. They tell you exactly what you are being in any moment. And you can change how you are feeling by simply changing how you are being. I can. How do I do that? You can choose to be a different way. That doesn't seem possible. The way I feel is the way I feel. I can't control that. The way you feel is a response to the way you are being. And you can control that. That is what I am telling you here. Beingness is a state in which you place yourself, it is not a response. Feeling is a response, but being is not. Your feelings are your response to what you are being, but your being is not a response to anything. It is a choice. I am choosing to be what I am. You are. Indeed. How come I am not aware of that? I don't seem to be aware of that. Most people are not. Because most people have forgotten that they are creating their own realities. But because you have forgotten you are doing it does not mean you are not doing it. It means that you simply do not know what you are doing. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Exactly. Yet if I don't know what I'm doing, how can I do anything different? Now you do know what you are doing. That has been the purpose of this whole dialogue. I have come here to wake you up. You are awake now. You are aware. Awareness is a state of being. You are being aware. From this state of awareness, you can choose any other beingness. You can choose to be wise, or wonderful. You can choose to be compassionate and understanding. You can choose to be patient and forgiving. Can't I simply choose to be happy? Yes. How? How do I do that? Don't do it. Simply be it. Do not try to do happy. Simply choose to be happy, and everything you do will spring from that. It will be given birth by that. What you are being gives birth to what you are doing. Always remember that. But how can I choose to be happy? Isn't happiness something that happens? I mean, isn't it something that I just am because of something that is happening, or going to happen? No. It is something that you choose to be because of what is happening, or going to happen. You are choosing to be happy. Haven't you ever seen two people reacting entirely differently to the same outer set of circumstances? Of course. But that's because the circumstances meant something different to each one of them. You determine what something means. You give it its meaning. Until you decide what something means, it has no meaning at all. Remember that. Nothing means anything at all. Out of your state of beingness will meaning spring. It is you who are choosing, in any moment, to be happy. Or choosing to be sad. Or choosing to be angry, or mollified, or forgiving, or enlightened, or whatever. You are choosing. You. Not something outside of yourself. And you are choosing quite arbitrarily. Now, here is the great secret. You can choose a state of beingness before something happens, just as you do after something happens. Thus, you can create your experience, not simply have it. You are, in fact, doing this right now. In every moment. Yet you may be doing it unconsciously. You may be as someone sleepwalking. If so, it is now time to wake up. Yet you cannot be totally awake while you are thinking. Thinking is another form of being in a dream state. Because what you are thinking about is the illusion. It is okay. You are living in the illusion, you have placed yourself there, so you should give it some thought. But remember, thought creates reality, so if you've created a reality that you don't like, don't give it a second thought. Nothing is evil, lest thinking make it so. Precisely. So every once in a while, it might be good to stop thinking altogether. To get in touch with a higher reality. To pop out of the illusion. How can I stop thinking? It seems that I'm always thinking. I'm even thinking about this. First, be quiet. By the way, notice that I said be quiet, I did not say think quiet. Oh, that's good. That's very good, okay. Now, after being quiet for a while, you will notice that your thinking at least slows down a bit. It starts to simmer down. Now, start thinking about what you're thinking about. What's that? You heard me. Start thinking about where your thoughts are going. Then, stop your thoughts from going there. Focus your thoughts. Think about what you're thinking about. This is the first step toward mastery. Whoa! This is blowing my mind. Exactly. No, that's not what I meant. Yes, it is. You just didn't know it. This really is blowing your mind. What is it that you humans say? Let's blow this joint. Well, now you are going to blow your mind. That is, you are going to leave it. Now, when people see you in this state of mindlessness, they may very well ask, have you taken leave of your senses? And you can answer yes. Isn't it great? Because your mind is your sensory input analyzer, and you've stopped analyzing all the incoming data. You've stopped thinking about it. Instead, you're thinking about what you're thinking about. You're beginning to focus your thoughts, and soon, you will focus your thoughts on nothing at all. How can you focus on nothing? First, focus on something in particular. You can't focus on nothing until you first focus on something. Part of the problem here is that the mind is almost always focused on many things. It is receiving input data from 100 different sources at all times. And it is analyzing this data faster than the speed of light, sending you information about yourself and what is happening to you and around you. To focus on nothing, you have to stop all this mental noise. You have to control it, limit it, and, ultimately, eliminate it. You want to focus on nothing, but first, you have to focus on something in particular, rather than everything at once. So make it something simple. You can start with the flickering of a candle. Look at the candle, look at the flame, see what you notice about it, stare deeply into it. Be with the flame. Don't think about it. Be with it. After a bit, your eyes will want to close. They will become heavy, fuzzy. Is this self-hypnosis? Try to avoid labels. You see. You're doing it again. You're thinking about this. You're analyzing it and wanting to give it a name. Thinking about something stops you from just being with it. When you do this, don't think about it. Just be with the experience. Okay. Now, when it feels like you want to close your eyes, just close them. Don't think about it. Just let them fall shut by themselves. They'll do this quite naturally if you don't fight to keep them open. You are now limiting your sensory input. This is good. Now, begin listening to your breathing. Focus on your breath. Especially, listen to your breathing in. Listening to yourself stops you from listening to everything else. This is when great ideas come. When you listen to your in-breath, you are listening to your inspiration. Oh, my God, how do you do that? How do you keep coming up with stuff like that? Shoo. Be quiet. Stop thinking about this. Now, focus your inner vision. For once you have inspiration, it will bring you great insight. Focus this insight on the space in the middle of your forehead, just above your eyes. The so-called third eye. Yes. Place your attention there. Look deeply there. Don't look expecting to see something. Look at the nothing, at the no thing. With the darkness. Do not strive to see anything. Relax, and be content with the peace of emptiness. Empty is good. Creation cannot come except into the void. Enjoy, then, the emptiness. Expect nothing more, want nothing more. What do we do with all the thoughts that keep popping up? Lost people are lucky to get 3 seconds of emptiness. Could you address the issue of all the constant thoughts that keep popping up, especially for the beginner? Beginners are very frustrated over why they can't silence the mind and get to the nothingness you are talking about. This may be a piece of cake for you, but it sure isn't for most of us. You're thinking about this again. I invite you to stop thinking about this. If your mind keeps filling with thoughts, just watch that, make that okay. As the thoughts pop in, just step back and observe that this is happening. Do not think about it, just notice it. Do not think about what you are thinking about. Just step back and notice it. Don't judge it. Don't get frustrated by it. Don't start talking to yourself about it, like, well, here we go again. All I get is thoughts. When do I get to the nothingness? You can't get to the nothingness by continually complaining that you are not there. When a thought pops in, some extraneous thought about nothing in particular, having nothing to do with the moment, just notice that. Notice that, and bless it, and make it part of the experience. Don't dwell on it. It's part of the passing parade. Let it pass. Do the same thing with sounds or feelings. You may notice that you never hear as many sounds as when you are trying to experience total stillness. You may notice that you never have as much trouble feeling comfortable as when you are trying to sit totally comfortably. Just notice this. Step back one level and watch yourself noticing this. Include all of this as part of your experience. But don't dwell on it. It's part of the passing parade. Let it pass. Like the question you asked just now. It's just a question you had. It's a thought that popped in. It's part of the passing parade. Let it pass. Don't try to answer it, don't try to solve it, don't try to figure it out. Just let it be there. Let it be part of the passing parade. Then let it pass. Notice there's nothing you have to do about it. In this will you find great peace. What a relief. Nothing to want, nothing to do, nothing to be, except exactly what you are being right now. Let go. Let it be. But keep looking. Not anxiously, not expectantly. Just, keeping a gentle watch. Needing to see nothing, ready to see anything. Now, the first time you do this, or the 10th time, or maybe the 100th or the 1000th time you do this, you may see what will look like a flickering blue flame, or a dancing light. It may appear in flashes at first, then steady itself in your sight. Stay with it. Move into it. If you feel yourself merging with it, let that happen. If that happens, nothing more will have to be said to you. What is this blue flame, this dancing light? It is you. It is the center of your soul. It is that which surrounds you, moves through you, is you. Say hello to your soul. You've just found it, at last. You've just experienced it, at last. If you merge with it, if you become one with it, you will know a sublime fullness of joy that you will call bliss. You will discover that the essence of your soul is the essence of me. You will have become one with me. For just a moment, perhaps. For only a nanosecond. But that will be enough. After that, nothing else will matter, nothing will ever be the same again, and nothing in your physical world will match it. And this is when you will discover that you need nothing and no one outside of yourself. That seems a little scary, at some level. You mean I won't want to be with anyone else ever again? I won't want to love anyone, because they can't possibly give me what I've found within? I did not say that you would never love anyone or anything outside of yourself. I said you would never need anyone or anything outside of yourself. I will say again, love and need are not the same thing. If you truly have the experience of inner oneness that I have described, the result will be just the opposite of what you fear. Far from not wanting to be with anyone, you will want to be with everyone, but now, for the first time, for an entirely different reason. No longer will you seek to be with others to get something from them. Now you will yearn to give something to them. For you will desire with all your heart to share with them the experience that you have found within, the experience of oneness. You will seek this experience of oneness with everyone, because you will know that it is the truth of your being, and you will want to know this truth in your own experience. This is when you will become dangerous. You will fall in love with everyone. Yes, and that is dangerous, because we human beings have created a life in which feeling oneness with everyone all of the time gets us into trouble. Yet you now also know the causes so that you can avoid all this. Well, yes, I do know now that neediness, expectation, and jealousy really are the great love enders. Still, I'm not sure that I can eliminate these from my life, because I'm not sure I know the formula. I mean, it's one thing to say, don't do that anymore, and it's another thing to say, here's how. That's where your friendship with me comes in. A friendship with God allows you to know the formula, not only the formula for getting rid of neediness, expectation, and jealousy, but the formula for all of life, the wisdom of the ages. Your friendship with me will also allow you to practicalize this wisdom, to make it practical, to make it real, to make it live in your life. It is one thing to know, and another thing to be able to use what you know. It is one thing to have knowledge, and another to have wisdom. Wisdom is knowledge applied. I will show you how to apply all the knowledge I have given you. I am always showing you that. Yet it will be easier for you to hear me if we have a friendship. Then we can really zing. Then we can really fly. We are talking here about a real friendship with God. Not a pseudo-friendship, not a make-believe friendship, not a part-time friendship. But an important, meaningful, close friendship. I am taking you through the steps that will help you do that. The first 3 steps are: 1. Know God. 2. Trust God. 3. Love God. And now we're looking at step 4, embrace God. Embrace God. Embrace God. Get close to God. That's what we've been talking about here. We've been talking about how to get close to God. I'd like to do that. I'd like to be close to you. I've always wanted to be close to you. I just didn't know how. And now you do. Now you know one very good way. By being with the silence, being with the self, for a few golden moments each day. This is where you may most profitably begin. When you are with the self, the true self, you are with me, for I am one with the self, and the self is one with me. As I have said to you before, there is more than one way to do this. I have given you one way, I have just described one way, but there is more than one way. There is more than one way to the self. And more than one way to God, and that is something that every religion in the world would do well to understand, and to teach. Once you have found yourself, you may wish to begin to move out from the self, to create a newer world. To do this, touch others as you would have yourself be touched. See others as you would have yourself be seen. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Exactly. Embrace others as you would seek to embrace me, for when you embrace others, you do embrace me. Embrace all the world, for all the world embraces who and what I am. Reject nothing of the world, and no one in it. Yet while you are in the world, and the world is in you, remember that you are larger than it. You are the creator of it, for you are creating your own reality as surely as you are experiencing it. You are both the creator and the created, as am I. I am made in the image and likeness of God. Yes. And you can choose to have the experience of being the creator, or that which is created, at any given moment. I can choose to be in this world, but not of it. You are learning, my friend. You are taking the knowledge I have given you, and turning it into wisdom. For wisdom is knowledge applied. You are becoming a messenger. We are beginning to speak with one voice. Making friends with you really does mean making friends with all people, and with everything, every circumstance and condition. Yes. What if there is a person or condition that you would rather not see continue having an effect in your life? What if there is a person or condition that you find hard to love, that you find yourself wanting to resist? What you resist, persists. Remember that. The solution, then? Love. Love. There is no condition, no circumstance, no problem that love cannot solve. This does not mean that you must submit to abuse. We have discussed this before. It does mean that love, for yourself and others, is always the solution. There is no person that love cannot heal. There is no soul that love cannot save. Indeed, there is no saving to be done at all, for love is what every soul is. And when you give the soul of another what it is, you have given it back to itself. That's what I have said that you do for us. And that has become the mission statement of my foundation. That's what came to me when I was trying to write the mission statement, to give people back to themselves. Do you think this was by accident? I suppose by now I should know better. Perhaps you should. Nothing is by accident, is it? Nothing. Not my getting into radio, not my going to live in the South, not my being offered a job at an all-black radio station, and not my meeting with Jay Jackson at the Evening Capitol. FT's all been very non-accidental, hasn't it? Yes. I think I knew that the first time Jay and I met. There seemed to be something fated between us. I can't explain it, it's just a feeling I had, almost from the moment I stepped into his office. I was nervous, yes, because I desperately needed work. But I had a sense that things were going to turn out all right almost immediately after I sat down. Jay was a wonderful man. As I grew to know him, I found him to be compassionate, deeply understanding of the human condition, incredibly friendly, and most of all, humanly kind. Everyone loved him. And Jay saw the positive in everyone. He gave everyone a chance. And then a second chance, and a third. Working for him was a dream. When you did something good, he never missed it. You'd get a note immediately, always in felt-tipped pen, "Nice job on the budget story." Or, "Interview with the nun, just great." These notes flew off his desk in a flurry, you could find them all over the newsroom, every day. I loved Jay, and I couldn't believe it when he died so young. He was in his mid-40s. I would guess, and had some kind of stomach problem. Or maybe it was something much larger, I don't know. All I know is that in the last months I worked alongside him, he was eating nothing but mush. Baby food, mainly. Or oatmeal. That's the only kind of stuff he could eat. We were at the Anne Arundel Times then. The Evening Capita / had been purchased, and Jay, along with his father and brother, had bought another small paper and turned it into a weekly serving all of Anne Arundel County. Annapolis was the county seat. I was still working at the Capita / when Jay called and offered me a job as the founding managing editor of the Times. It took me 2 seconds to decide. I'd received a liberal education at the first paper. But I learned even more at the second. A much smaller publication, with a tiny staff, it required hands-on preparation each week. I learned about layout and paste-up. I was also the newspaper's photographer. I had to learn fast how to handle a camera, and even how to work my way around a darkroom, and its ace, actually, only, reporter. I also learned a lot about operating under pressure, with all of a newspaper publication's unforgiving time deadlines. I'm hoping that what you get here is that I discovered talents I didn't even know I had. I also discovered that I could call forth these talents by simply pressing myself to do so. This was a major revelation for me. This was a major message. A memo from the top. God was telling me something that I have used countless times since: life begins at the end of your comfort zone. I have said this before and I will say it again. Don't be afraid in your life to reach higher than your grasp. It may seem scary at first, but you'll come to enjoy it. As for me, I loved it. I thrived on it. I couldn't get enough of it. And Jay knew that about me. He saw that in me, and he drew it out of me. In those younger years I was often beset by insecurity, but Jay knew what I was made of. He gave me back to myself. All masters do that, and by so doing they give the greatest blessing. I blossomed under Jay's tutelage, under his firm but gentle guidance, and his "nothing is impossible" brand of leadership. In fact, I soon adopted it, made it my own. It matched up well with what my father had taught me: you can do anything you set your mind to. Or, as my mother would put it, where there's a will, there's a way. As I said, I really was shocked when Jay died so young. I didn't think that a person that good should have to leave so soon. His work was done. I know. I know that now. But I didn't understand that then. I was mystified, hurt. If this is the reward for the really nice ones, what's the point? That's where I was in my head. I wasn't even sure in those days whether there was such a thing as a hereafter. I didn't know if there was life after death. Jay's death shook me. It made me look hard at this question. Did you find an answer? Yes. I received my answer the day of Jay's funeral. How did that happen? Jay gave me the answer himself. In 2 words. In the graveyard. In his own voice.